Danny, this is crazy, man. You got everybody thinking that we're kissing sisters out. See, I mean, at this point, Danny, you're drunk. Like, you know how everybody says when you tie, it's like a brother and sister kissing. Like,
no,
you never heard that? Oh, you're wild, bro.
That's the battered way of looking at things, though, right? Because
we're the battered herons, Ian.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the herons are back, and the herons are bad again. But no, I'm joking. No, I don't think they're bad again. But we're gonna get into all that and more. But before we do, let me bring in my main man, KBD. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not good, man. It wasn't a fun time. It's 10:38 at night, which is completely different than the time that we typically get on.
So don't expect too many people alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only just that, but it's just the simple fact that it's like we're not even coming off a win. So this kind of sucks.
Well, that and that the Miami Heat, I don't know if the game is already started, but the Heat are playing. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, the Miami Heat, last time I checked, I think they were up in the after the third quarter.
Okay, there you go. So something positive happening here in Miami. Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people are tending into that. But here we are. We're ready to talk some horrible soccer. So where do you want to start, Chris? Because let's see, the game just ended. I stopped watching it after the 91st minute because I have to come and have to set everything up. And when you joined me just a couple minutes ago, you let me know that they actually scored. And I missed it. I missed the only positive in the game. I missed that last goal. I mean, you could go ahead and tell me what it was that I missed because I had no idea that they scored.
Well, it was basically a Coco Jean that was just happy as hell to finally be able to do a corner kick. Gets it in, which was a really nice pass, to be honest. A deflection off of one of the players, and Arroyo just happened to be at the right place at the right time, catches it on the right bounce, and blasts it almost, I think, he almost misses. He kind of deflects it under the top bar, but it goes in. So, I mean, but that's probably one of the only little positives that we've had in the game. I don't know how you feel about the game, but I was kind of disappointed. Connor, hello to you too. Thank you for joining us for sure.
I told you that I had a feeling that we wouldn't score. I was surprised that we got that one goal. I mean, I guess you could count it. It was at the very end of the game. Like you said, it might have even been luck. But I told you scoring on this team would be very difficult. One, because they're the best defensive team in the league. And two, we are one of the worst offensive teams in the league, especially when you consider how many shots we take a game. We are bottom 5. We don't get shots off. We don't score much. We've been shut out. What was it I said last time? I think it was 5 times. They had 6 clean sheets. So I really did think that no chance that we scored. And up until, again, like you said, you surprised me and told me that we scored in the 93rd minute. I really did think that we're going to get shut out again. So...
Well, and I'll tell you this much, since we're playing Orlando this weekend, and look at this, Richard Greenberg chiming in with his gambling nonsense. The over one. That is great right there, Greenberg. Look, the one thing that I could tell you guys, anybody that hasn't watched any other games, Orlando tied against NYCFC, so I guess that's a good thing.
That was a late tie. NYCFC scored in the 90th minute, I want to say.
That was a beauty. So that's great. They didn't advance as much as we, dropped down. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the problem is that we weren't expecting to get the win anyway, right? I mean, when we're talking about playing away, we're hoping to get the tie.
No, I mean, no, you hope for a win, obviously, but I really did think that they would come in and they would be playing. I mean, I predicted a 0-0 draw because I figured the game plan is going to be just defend and get out with a result or with a point. That's what I thought. And from everything that I saw in that first half, those were the Phil Neville's intentions. Let's go ahead and defend for our lives, and let's just hold on to that draw, to that 1 point. And I really do believe that was the strategy going into this game. Obviously, once Mukhtar went ahead and scored that first goal, I mean, things changed a little bit because now you need to score. That was evident once the second half started. You saw Joseph got the start in the second half. So I thought they would be a little more aggressive, but the first 10, 15 minutes was still dominated by Nashville.
Well, and here we got B-Jam kicking in We struggled with Nashville's long balls, which 1,000% factual right there. Terrible game. Back to normal from Jay La Rosa. But Danny, I want to get your thoughts on the starting lineup, right? So let's start from the first chapter here. It was interesting to see the starting lineup. You got Ulloa, which as quickly as he came on, and I think it's his birthday, which sucks. He couldn't even play into the second half. I didn't really like the starting lineup, but just going over it, I didn't like Sailor. I didn't like Ulloa. And Harvey Neville was really interesting to start. I don't know if, we talked a little bit before the game started. You thought that maybe that was just an idea to sort of reserve some of our, I guess, more better important players for the Saturday game.
I mean, you have 3 games in 7 days. I mean, you're not going to be able to play everybody 90 minutes. I was surprised that Yedlin didn't get to start. I thought maybe he would get subbed off maybe for Harry Neville, but I thought he would start. I thought Yedlin's been playing very well over the last couple of weeks, like we talked about last episode. So, I was surprised that he didn't start. The Ulloa thing, that didn't surprise me, but this goes back to when I tell you Phil Neville kind of finds something that works, and he'll stick with it no matter what players he has available. Once you have Ulloa as your only other option for a defending midfielder, you should no longer play with a double pivot. Like, you should no longer have 2 defending midfields. Go ahead and leave Arroyo back there and then put somebody else in. I don't understand why. I would have rather see Stefanelli play as an attacking midfielder than having 2 defending midfielders when it's Ulloa. Like, I feel bad pooping on the guy because he's been with us forever and obviously he tries, but he just doesn't play well. There was a play in the first half where he was trying to clear the ball out of our own box, and he kind of headed it towards another defender. I think it was McVeigh.
Yes, it was.
Like, dude, clear it out of the box. So and it's frustrating to see, but unfortunately, Ulloa is just not that guy. And you put him in a late game situation where you want to get that double pivot, you want to get that extra defender in there. You're trying to finish this game off, but don't put him to start. If you don't have the players to play with a double pivot, then don't do it. You have Arroyo. You have one center defending midfielder. Use him and then get somebody else out there to help with the offense. We were playing on 2 sides of the field. We had our defenders and we had our forwards. There was nothing going on in the middle of the field.
Well, that's one thing that I was really kind of disappointed in, is that our midfield was non-existent. And for those of you that were watching live, I mean, there was a point where you can see that the commentators were talking about how frustrated Neville was with the midfielders kind of like following the same patterns and staying really close together, not spreading out the field. I mean, and then talking about, Junior playing because of Daddy, Jay La Rosa.
I think Harry Neville is good.
I think he's skilled, man. I think that he's a guy, like I mentioned in another podcast, that in one of our other shows, that if he didn't have Neville on the back of his jersey, everybody would think he's good. No, Danny?
No, I agree. I agree 100%. And it's kind of frustrating to see that he gets pooped on because, like you said, the name on his back. I'm not saying that I want him to start every week.
Of course.
He's not there yet.
He's not an
all-star. I see the potential. I think he can be good for us.
And here we got, Hazel talking about, they mentioned Pozuelo coming back. We need Pozuelo. I mean, we're talking about stuff that is facts right there, my friend, for sure.
We can Ulloa is that all year long, but Pozuelo isn't coming back. We got to stop talking about Pozuelo like we need to stop talking about Messi.
That's what happens. Yeah, you talk about one, it's like they both come with each other at this point when it comes to being associated to Inter Miami. So I guess that's our thoughts on the starting lineup. It was, when we're talking about the game, what did you think of the first half?
Well, I thought, like I told you last episode, I thought that we were going to come in and our goal was going to be come out with a draw. And I really thought that they were going to try to get that 0-0 draw. And nobody could tell me watching that game that that's not what it looked like. It looked like that's what they were playing for. At no point did they bother to try to attack or to gain possession. I think Nashville had, I think, like 80% possession in that first half. Like, it was something ridiculous. They were playing for the tie. Like, that's what it was. Now, unfortunately, like I said, Mukhtar scored, but I thought that we might have Kristoff in this game. That's why I thought that we could pull off a draw, that we would have Kristoff, we would have Yedlin, and we could shut them down. But once Kristoff isn't an option anymore, Yedlin's on the bench, and we lost David Ruiz, we lost 3 really important players to kind of holding off the other team from scoring. And once that happened, like it's rough. Like I can't be upset and say, oh, we're back to being bad. Like, yes, I do wish that Phil Neville would have gotten a little more creative once he saw that Ulloa was the only other option and things like that. But I'm not going to say that all of a sudden we reverted back to what we were a month ago, because I mean, this game just, it had draw or loss written all over it. I at no point did I think we would win this game.
What it had basically bad expectations to it. Nobody anticipated that this game was going to be a blowout in terms from our end. Nobody anticipated that our players were going to come out and score 3-4 goals. I mean, this was going to be a slobber knocker, and it was going to be a game where our players aren't going to be shining. We're playing away. And, walk away with what we can. Hopefully, if we can walk away with anything. But unfortunately, we lost the game 2-1. The first half to me was very, very sloppy. We had the possession that we had in the first half was completely different than the type of possession we had in the second half. Ulloa, to me, just wasn't playing the kind of soccer that we needed him to play in order for us to be effective.
He had the captain the ban on.
Well, I think it's number one because it's his birthday, and number two because he ended up getting like his 70th appearance. So you got to keep that going, I guess. I don't know how I feel about Sailor, Danny. I mean, I understand that Kristoff is not here, but I don't know how I feel about Sailor coming in and starting like this. This is kind of crazy to me. Campana.
If Kristoff isn't available and he wants to play this 5 in the back, like that's our go-to now. 5 in the back with the 2 wing backs, and that's what we're gonna play. And I mean, what other options do you have at center back? Like I told you, I think I said it last episode, maybe they would go with Taylor at right wing back or Harry Neville at right wing back, Negri at left wing back, and then they'll put Yedlin as the right center back. That's what I thought might happen. But they went with Sailor and McVeigh, and that's fine. I get it. That's our depth right now when Kristoff isn't available.
And one play I want to talk about, which I mentioned on Twitter, Fafa and McVeigh got into it, and literally after Fafa pulled McVeigh down, it looked like he was going to throw 2 or 3 punches into McVeigh's face, and for sure I thought there was going to be a red card. And
I felt like he was just grabbing at his crotch, going ahead, just running around, and Phil Neville just kept patting him. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up the highlights and see if I can be able to bring them up. But yeah, it looked like he was gonna throw a punch for sure. And the fact that the ref just came by and did a talking to both players, like, come on, man. And this game, I don't want to say the fix was in, but the refs were garbage. They were garbage. Jay LaRosa, chiming in. First half, they destroyed McVeigh. Hazel kicking in. Danny, please, is Phil a strategic coach or not?
When he has his full squad available, I think he is. Right? He has now changed to this counter-attacking scheme, which works for us. Right? It's not necessarily the most beautiful thing in the world. It's kind of boring, but it works. But you need the players to do it. You need Kristoff. You need Yedlin giving us some offense on the right side. I told you last episode that the previous 3 games, I think it was 43%, 46%, and 47%, our offense was built up the right side with Yedlin overlapping with Coco or David Ruiz. Yeah. Today, 50% was on the left side because we had no offense on the right side. Again, we weren't pushing much, period, but Yedlin has been a consistent factor for us offensively. So once Yedlin wasn't out there, you had Joseph on the bench. You were playing for the draw. We don't have the players right now to kind of look. Let's be clear. We got dominated today. You ever seen those heat maps on the soccer after a soccer game when they show the heat maps? We want to show. I got the heat map for this game. You want me to show it to you?
Sure. Let's check it out.
This is what the heat map for the Inter Miami game looked like.
And for those of you that are listening on audio, it basically shows a powerful presence from the back.
And Inter Miami just playing that low block, just receiving all the pressure. That's basically what I just showed you on that heat map. It's ridiculous. We have it was a domination, but again, I'm not gonna overreact. We got dominated against a good team, and it just is what it is. But there's absolutely no time to dwell on this because we got a big game just 3 days later.
Listen, and Hazel said thank you. That's what we're here to do. We're here to fulfill, chill and fulfill, baby. Richard Greenberg, hey, thanks for the update. Miami Heat win. I see the score 123-116. So there's your final score against Boston. So, it is what it is.
I love seeing Boston lose. I can't stand that city. Well, sports city. I've heard it's a beautiful city. I've never been there, but as far as sports goes, there's no city I hate more than Boston.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, Calypso, also is chiming in about Neville, saying he set us up for failure tonight. And I don't know, Calypso. I don't know if I feel the same. I see here Jay La Rosa, same feeling the fans had when Neville was renewed. I don't know if I feel that way, Calypso. I feel like failure was sort of inevitable in this game for the most part. I don't think that we were going to come out with like this shiny game and expectation or anything like that. I really didn't expect too much.
Look, like Calypso said, he set us up for failure. I think he set us up for a draw, which is what I expected. I expected a draw. I thought that that's what we were going to be looking for. And unfortunately, like I said, without Kristoff, with Ulloa playing the defensive midfield, it just wasn't the cards weren't set for us. But actually, before we go to Orlando, were there any positives today? I'll give you mine.
Well, we have the second half was a positive.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me what it was. Because I didn't see any positive. Just because we were attacking more. How many times did we get caught on the counter because we got so aggressive offensively trying to tie the game? Drake saved us on how many counter?
I think it had to be 3. I think it had to be 3 saves for sure.
Tell me why the second half was a positive, because I still don't see it. I don't care that we scored.
The reason, no, and it has nothing to do with the score. The reason that I saw the second half as a positive is, number one, we got Ulloa off, and we were able to bring in basically Joseph to come on. Now, it was kind of weird to see Joseph, and today is, I think, the first time that I've ever seen Joseph and Cabana not mesh well together.
They were pressing. Things were different today, man.
Things were very different. It was a weird game.
But like Richard Greenberg just chimed in, it's true. When you have these Wednesday games, you have a lot of rotations. Like you don't get your normal starting 11, and people are just mixing and matching, trying to figure things out. Your boy with the mullet didn't come in until like the second half. What's his face from Nashville?
Oh yeah.
Schneiderlin or something like that.
Schneiderborgel, whatever his name is.
So it's really weird lineups.
Schaffelfield or Schaffelbob, and
but you can do those rotations when you have depth. We don't have depth because of all our injuries. We're missing Gregory, we're missing Mota, we're missing Kristoff. We don't have the depth to do those rotations. Therefore, we end up with Ulloa playing for us.
And 86 is also mentioning, if Neville had started with Martinez and Yedlin, it could have been a different story. Listen, I totally agree with the point that you told me this, before the game started, Danny, is I do expect that the reason he didn't start a lot of guys is he wanted to save them for the game on Saturday.
He was playing for the draw. I'm telling you, he was going for that no draw. Like that's what it was. But Mukhtar is too good. The way he was finding people inside the box to kind of set them up. Like he wasn't going to be denied. I will tell you, there was one shot in the first half where I thought he was going to get a clean shot from right outside the box, and Arroyo did a beautiful job tackling him and getting that ball back. And that was the first time that Arroyo really stood out to me, the way he kind of stepped on that ball. But again, I'm not going to overreact to this. I didn't think it was that big a deal. We got our ass kicked. We were on a 5-game winning streak. It's okay. We didn't expect to win every game from here on out, especially not on the road.
Yeah, for sure. And Lucas says this could have definitely been 4-0 easily. Sure. I mean, there were some plays that I was just like, these guys are just going crazy on us. Like, did you see that that spicy play by Mukhtar, like going at Arroyo, like with a bunch of little scissor things or whatever. Like, whoa, it was off the chain. And
Step
Lucas
overs.
says, yeah, the little step over. And Lucas says, just never start Ulloa. Yeah.
No, man, I feel bad for the guy, but he had the captain's armband and everything. Like he just, and thank you, Lucas. That was the one positive I took out of today's game is that we finally got to say Ian Frey on the field. He got injured preseason last year, and he just hasn't been able to get healthy. And it was cool that he finally got on to the main squad and got to play. I'm happy for him, and hopefully, this is just. I mean, maybe he could take Sailor's spot since you're not happy with Sailor.
I mean, when it comes to Sailor playing, I don't know. Sometimes he seems like he's, I don't want to say he's lost. I'm pretty sure he knows what the philosophy is and the game plan and all that kind of stuff. But I guess since we've seen a lot of Kristoff and another positive I'll tell you is Miller. Miller, the fact that he plays good defensively and he's willing to push up, like he legit was like at the forward position sometimes. Pushing the pace.
Second half.
Yeah, in the second half, of course, because
everybody was up there
to play with. Because he had better than players to play with. I mean, what's going on? What's he gonna do? He's gonna pass it to Ulloa?
I think everybody was up there. I'm telling you, they went all in for the draw, and I don't blame them. At that point, you're down 2 goals. You have to go off. Like it doesn't matter if you lose by 3 or 4. At that point, you're just trying to get salvage a point. Any other positives or anything else from the chat before we move on to Orlando City?
Well, yeah, I mean those were my positives. I enjoyed seeing individual players play. As a team, it was just kind of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, look, and look, and I'm not hating Lucas' idea. Puts Frey as the CDM. Look, if Phil is stuck on the idea of playing 5 in the back with a double pivot, which is essentially like 7 defenders. If he's set on playing that, let's give Frey a try at CDM. Why not? It's working with John Stones in Man City. I'm not saying he's man on John Stones, but I'm saying that, it happens, right? You can move a center back and play him a CDM. And if he has I don't know. Look, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I know Frey's game perfectly. I don't know how he is with the ball at his feet. But if he can handle it, let's try it out. I'm all for it because Ulloa just can't be that guy anymore. All right.
Well, I mean, at this point, what do we have to lose?
A game.
I guess. I mean, you'll lose the same game with Ulloa,
Yeah, you're right. All right. So we got Orlando City coming up. Obviously, our rivals. We usually on Wednesdays we have an opposing podcast come on, join us, and then they help us preview the games because obviously they know their team better than us. But unfortunately, Orlando also played just a couple hours ago, and they're kind of doing their own spaces and podcasts, and everybody we contacted was busy doing their own thing after their game. So we get it. We couldn't push it back to tomorrow, so we're kind of just going to do our own preview. It won't be as in-depth because, like I said, we don't know them as well as they know them. But all right, here we go. So Orlando, 4-4-4. 4 wins, 4 losses, 4 draws.
That's ugly.
Let's start by saying I wish that was us. That means they've only lost 4 games all year. Why can't we draw? Like, how is it that we can't draw 1 game? There's still only 2 teams in the league that haven't drawn. Us and Montreal. That's it. Everybody else has at least 1 draw. Orlando has 4. They're currently ahead of us in the standings because they draw. Like, we literally, our game plan, Chris, our game plan today was let's not win, let's not lose, let's draw. Literally the game plan, and we still can't draw. We can't execute that game plan. How is this possible? I don't know. But we still have no draws. Therefore, we have 7 losses. Therefore, we are 11th in the East. But Orlando isn't looking that great either. What do you think about the game coming up on Saturday?
Well, I mean, talking about their record, right? The last time that they won was against the LA Galaxy on April 29th. I mean, since then, they lost to Montreal, lost to Charlotte in the Open Cup. They tied with Columbus, and then they tied just today with NYCFC.
They should have won today.
Yeah, I mean, and before that win against the Galaxy, they lost against DC United. So, like, they don't strike any fear in my heart. That's for sure. Are they a good team? I mean, I guess they have good players. They've played well. They've they scored 2 against Columbus. They scored 1 against NYCFC. They scored a big goose egg against Charlotte and Orlando, and against what is it? Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't know, man. This team, Orlando, doesn't strike any fear in my heart. I'm looking forward to the game for sure. It's going to be rowdy as hell.
Well, I think that's the biggest reason we wanted a guest from Orlando FC on the podcast. It's the one we've been looking forward to the most. We kind of wanted to be able to, talk a little smack back and forth. But unfortunately, one of their best players, Mauricio Pereira, has been out with injury, and he finally came back today as a sub, meaning he'll be back on Saturday. He's a baller. So we have him to worry about. Facundo Torres, which I thought would be their best player this year. He's playing well, but their best player is Martin Ojeda. He's been balling all year. So obviously they have a good offense, even though they haven't scored that much. I thought that their offense would be more prolific, but they do have good players on offense. But our defense, like I said, I believe in our defense. Supposedly Christoph should be back for Saturday. So if Christoph is back, Yellen is starting, and we figure out something to do with Ulloa, because I really doubt that they're going to have Ulloa starting again. I think that we should be in good shape here. What do you think?
When it comes to the game coming up against Orlando, like I said, and you do this thing where you look at their last games, and I was doing the same thing, and I don't see any wins against big, scary opponents. I mean, LA Galaxy,
Philadelphia.
Well, they beat Philly, but that was early in the season. No,
March 25th. Yeah, that was like the 4th or 5th game. Yep.
Yeah,
they drew with Columbus.
Yes, and I mean, other than that, I mean, they beat Minnesota.
Look,
I guess
I'll tell you what gives me some. Well, actually, no, they beat Philly in Philly, because away from home, they don't seem to play very well. Away from home, they lost to. They beat Philadelphia. They lost to Montreal, which has been playing better. They lost to Charlotte, which, I mean, isn't that great. The fact that we're playing at home, I think, gives me some hope that we could pull off a W here. Because, I mean, we get up for our rivalry game. The stadium should be in a great atmosphere out there. And like I said, they haven't been playing great. I think that because we're at home, I'm feeling pretty good about the game.
And Matthew is also throwing out there that Christoph, like you said, is healthy for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthew, if you want to know where IMCF's favorite attorney is, I think that he's gathering the crew to go look for Phil Neville, because
no, we figured that a lot of our regulars wouldn't be back here. It's kind of late. I mean, some people work tomorrow.
Yeah. But tomorrow's Thursday, Papa. It's the day before Friday, so. And we still got a good crowd kicking in. Jay LaRosa.
No, for sure. We appreciate everybody that's joined us live. We know it's late.
Yeah. Jay LaRosa telling me, I defend Neville like I got Stockholm syndrome. You know what? Phil Neville, let's go.
All right.
This game was trash, but I forgive him.
So I always try to look for the numbers to make myself feel a little better, right? Especially now we don't have a guest to kind of do that for us. So I try to look up the numbers. So I try to see where I could find the positive. So a couple positives. The way Miami plays defense, they're basically building up. They're basically playing a low block, and they basically play with 7 defenders, right? They have the 2 center defensive midfields. They have our wing backs that come back, and we have the 3 center backs. We have 7 people back there. We're condensed. We're asking you to break us down somehow or take a shot from outside the box. Good luck.
Yeah.
Orlando hasn't scored any goals from outside the box. They're one of the very few teams that have no goals from outside the box. 1 positive. 2, we were giving up goals on set pieces, maybe a header here and there. Orlando, up until today, I don't know how they scored today, but they only had 1 headed goal all year. Also, I've always made a big deal about how few Inter Miami headed duels they win, because they had the lowest percentage. But the only team that wins less headed duels than us, Orlando City.
Oh.
So another positive. And then finally, their defense is not very good. They allow teams can pass on them. I should have checked. I didn't have the chance to. As far as how they are with possession, because defensively they have by far the least amount of interceptions won on defense. So obviously we can connect passes, and our passes should be crisp because apparently they don't play the passing lanes. So I'm assuming they don't press much. Again, I don't know too much about Orlando. This is why I hate previewing it without somebody from their team. But just going by the numbers, it looks like they don't press much. We can pass the ball, accurate passes because they don't get many interceptions, and they're not a headed threat. I think that a lot of signs point to we're going to have an opportunity to score, and I don't see them being able to break us down, especially if they can't score from outside the box. I mean, the fact that Pereira's back should help because now they have 3 good forwards, but I'm not too worried about them scoring.
Well, and Steve Munoz came in. He's in the same world as you, Danny. He didn't even know that we scored a goal.
It was. For me, it was. I saw it 91.30 minutes. I was like, okay, I got to start recording in like 2-3 minutes. Let me go start setting everything up. How did I think that we were going to score in the last 90 seconds?
Well, and I'll tell you one thing that does give me some encouragement with the stats that you just talked about. If you guys noticed during the game and during some of the corners, Campana connected on a couple headers. So I don't know if maybe they found their way of like having a better set piece, like strategy or whatever, but he was connecting to a couple of them. So
I also like to see Joseph, although he didn't connect on any, getting more opportunities. Right? Yeah. His reaction time is even faster. There was a ball that was kind of just deflected and just landed right in his area, and he headed it right to goal. Now your boy with the mustache made a great save, but Joseph is getting chances now. I feel like with Campana there's more attention being paid to not just Joseph but also Campana, and I think that's freeing up Joseph a little more. Now, obviously, we were attacking a lot more in the second half. But I do like what I saw, and that does give me some hope also.
Are you willing to jump off the ledge like Steve Munoz is right now? Steve Munoz also chiming in. Any little bit of goodwill Neville got after winning 3 games in a row went to hell with tonight's performance. Inexcusable.
So. No,
not only did Steve Munoz just say what he said, but then he dropped it with a hammer. Inexcusable.
I have a question for Steve, and for those on audio, Steve is commenting on our chat on YouTube, and I'll see if he answers back. Steve, my question to you is, were you okay with his strategy to come out to try to get a draw? Because I expected it, and if we would have made it out with 1 point, I would have been happy. That was the strategy. Are you okay with the strategy he came out with? Now, obviously, it wasn't executed. But I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that Christoph wasn't playing, that he didn't start Yedlin. But are you okay with that strategy? Because I am, and if he would have came out with the point, I would have been okay. Let's move on. Because the big game is at home. Like, I understand everybody's like, let's go win. But you're away. It's Wednesday. Half the team is injured. I'm okay playing for that draw. So that's me.
And Matthew is just what we showed in the first half was an abomination, which it was. It was really bad. It was a terrible first half. It was one of the worst first halves I've seen.
But that's apparent that what was the strategy coming into the game? Like, there's never been more obvious. Yeah. Like, literally, they're like, here's the ball. Like, we don't know what to do with it. He told us not to try. He told us to just stop you from scoring. So that's what it was. It was kind of sickening to watch, honestly, but I understood it.
It was kind of sad to watch, to be honest, because I think, like you said, the expectation was to draw, and then you have basically Nashville just trying to shove it down our throats. And I mean, look, these guys offensively, they've had their way with us. It wasn't a great first half. It was a better second half, obviously. But I'm hoping that the team takes this and sort of takes their frustration out on Orlando, especially with some of the stats that you were talking about,
I have a question for you, Chris, because I know you're very passionate about this for some reason.
Yeah.
Their goalie. I forgot how to even pronounce his name.
Oh, this guy
Galisi, whatever, that the Peruvian goalie.
Yes.
How do you feel about him? He's not having necessarily the greatest of seasons. How do you feel about him?
I think that he's a bitch.
Okay. Oh.
I mean, I think.
How did that do to you?
I think that he's kind of a bitch.
Okay, you're gonna double down. Okay.
I think when I was watching the highlights of Orlando City earlier in the season, you know how when the goalie grabs the ball and he starts like running up to like this is my space and I'm gonna throw it or kick it or whatever. Yeah. When he gets like tapped by somebody, he does this like he flops, like oh my god, he got hurt. Like I'm gonna make a video of it, and you guys are gonna laugh about it.
Yes,
we're live as hell, Lucho. Let's go, baby.
That's why I can't edit out that
Orlando is a bitch.
All right, there we go. Yeah. Not even Galisa anymore. It's not Orlando.
All of Orlando. And
we are live. Okay, yes, for sure. If there was any doubt, there you go.
And you know, Lucho, I thought we were rocking together here, and then now all of a sudden you just killed the vibes, my guy. Like, is that what's going on here?
So,
what's going on here?
I guess it's prediction time. Right? What else are we gonna say about Orlando? I mean, I know you're okay to keep insulting them, but let's go to the predictions. And I kind of want to see everybody in the comments prediction also. So let's start with you, Chris. Prediction time.
So
what do you think?
So if we're talking about prediction, okay.
Before you give me the prediction, give me your prediction for the starting 11.
Well, I think that the starting 11 has to be exactly what it was last game, but instead of Sailor,
today?
No, the last game prior to today.
Okay.
Last Saturday,
New England.
Yeah, the New England same starting, but instead you were gonna have instead of Sailor, it's gonna be Kristoff.
Okay.
And I think Negri is gonna start for sure.
For sure.
I'd like to say that Campana and Joseph are both going to start.
I'm okay with that.
I'd like to see them both start.
Okay, I mean, so far we're in agreement with everything. So we have the same back five, we have the same top two, but the question is usually the midfield because that's where we're suffering the most. So what do you think? We're thinking Kramashi.
Well, we're thinking Kramashi. We're thinking Taylor.
Okay, so Taylor instead of Ulloa, and then Arroyo has to start.
And then Arroyo. Yes, that would be my starting 11.
So are you thinking one center defensive midfield, or you think we're playing that double pivot with Taylor back there playing out of position?
No, we're probably playing with Taylor out of position.
Okay.
Probably him and Kramashi up and Arroyo down.
I see Matthew is saying Ulloa is not going to start. Chris, if Ulloa starts, I will kick you in the face if you say Neville should keep his job. I will kick you in the face if Ulloa is starting and you continue to defend him about starting. Ulloa cannot start after today. I don't care if it's his birthday. They gave him the captain band and everything. He cannot start after today. I don't care if he comes in. No, I'm okay if he starts. Go ahead and comes in the 87th minute to kind of take out one of our strikers to add an extra defender. Let's go. Let's protect this lead. He should never start again. Chris.
Ever.
No, but you're ready to defend Neville if he does it.
What if he has like 5 assists off the bench in the next couple games?
He won't.
I mean, what if he does? What if he decides to be like the assist man of all time off the bench?
Right. So we missed some of the chat's predictions. So go ahead while I start hunting them down. Give me your prediction.
All right. So my prediction is that we're gonna kick Orlando's ass because I hate Galisi and I can't wait to throw something at him and then kicked out of the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean,
you just put yourself out there. Look. Now there's proof out there.
I mean, but there's no proof not until I throw something. and maybe it'll be me. Maybe it'll be, I don't know.
But you can't say it was a mistake
else.
anymore. You can't say that you just threw your hands up and it went flying.
Listen,
you literally just told everybody you're gonna throw something at them.
What if I pay someone to throw something?
Do you think they would do that for you?
It depends how much I pay, Papa.
That's true.
So I think it's gonna be 4-2. I'm going big. I'm going big, baby. It's gonna be 4-2. I'm just gonna go with outrageous numbers here. Jay La Rosa, look at this guy. Galici's a good goalie. Hope he has a great game. What? Oh, for the national team. Okay. All right.
Galice.
Oh, look at this. Tico Loco. He's ready to take a number, baby.
He said, "I would what?"
He would throw something. He would throw something. Look at that. I'm gonna get.
What kind of flag was that? What kind of flag was that?
I'm gonna get a
Costa Rican. Okay.
I'm gonna hold one of my Neville checks, and I'll pay you with the Neville check so you can throw something at the goalie. Oh well, I mean, look, Lucas is throwing in 3-1.
All right. Well, you said 4. 4's kind of ridiculous.
Hey, it's just a number, baby. I think it is going to be 4. I mean, if it's 4, then you're going to eat your words.
I would, but I doubt I'm going to have to.
Oh, C's. Look at this outside the box banger.
For those in audio, Chris is pulling up all the chats and the ridiculous stuff that's just popping up here. People talking about Ulloa scoring a goal from outside the box. It's just insane to me that people would even joke about that. All right. You said that Inter Miami would score 4 goals.
Yes.
What is the most goals you scored all season? What's the most goals you scored all season?
I'm just going to take a guess, and it's going to be 2.
It is 2. We've scored 2 a few times, but 2 is the most we've ever scored. Now, what's the most you think Orlando has given up this year?
3.
It is 3 against DC. They did that once, and other than that, nobody scored more than 2. Actually, nobody scored more than once. Actually, most of the time they hold them to just 1. Oh no, a couple people scored 2. But yeah, I do not see 4. I think that's a little outlandish, but I do see a win. I do think that our offense can get a goal on them. You know what? I don't think 3 would be crazy outlandish because Joseph does. Oh, look, perfect timing. Joseph owns Orlando. Joseph has played them. I want to say it was 11 times, and he scored 8 goals in those 11 games. So Joseph does own Orlando City, and I think that he will have a brace. I'm saying Joseph brace. I don't want to say Campana won also because I just can't see 3 goals from this team, man. Their offense just hasn't showed it to me yet. I'm going to say 2-0 Miami.
So you're going to say 2-0 at home? I mean, look at this. Look at Richard Greenberg. He's telling everybody, bet the over 2.5 goals for this game.
Bet the under, Richard. We're going to score 2 and they're not going to score any.
Oh my goodness. Richard Greenberg was right on the bet for the Nashville game.
It was 1.5.
If you would have went with Richard Greenberg, you would have been with another house, right? Yeah. Look at this. Over 2.5 free money at Richard. Look at that. Lucas mentioning that.
Well, I'm trying to find the numbers. I can't find them. But I do believe Orlando does own – I'm sorry, Joseph does own Orlando. Like they were trying to make a rivalry out of Orlando-Atlanta before Inter Miami existed. But it was really just Orlando versus Joseph, and Joseph basically dominated them. And I do believe that Joseph's going to get on the money like he always does against them. And I think that's going to continue. I say brace for Joseph. I think 2-0 win. I think Ian Frey comes in as a late sub again, has a good showing. Noah Allen comes in again, has a good showing. And I think that the kids continue to shine late in games when they get subbed in. And I'm looking forward to it because the fact that the kids are shining makes me happy.
Listen, and Hazel's just emphasizing Inter Miami wins. And that's what everybody here wants.
I mean, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
That's all that really matters.
And C's kicking in with it's a 3-1 Inter win. They just sent him the script. It's already a wrap. It's written. And with Ulloa outside the box banger, baby.
I did see somebody in the chat at some point earlier. I was in the middle of saying something, so I didn't answer right away. But they asked if we think that the Inter Miami is going to make the playoffs. Obviously, still early to tell. Right now, we're in 11th.
Yeah.
It was in 11th right now. But I do think 9 teams basically make it. I mean, it's 8, right? Because you have that one playing game. But yeah, I do think that we end up in the top 9 or 8. I do think that we make the playoffs. I do think this whole counter-attacking style will win the games. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be boring. Hopefully not as bad as it was this first half. But when you have better players on the field, it won't be as bad. But I do think that we're going to ride this to the playoffs. How far that will take us, I don't know. Maybe we have a nice signing in the summer that puts us over the top and changes things around like Pozuelo did last year. But until that happens, I do think we make the playoffs. I do.
Imagine, first of all, there's 2 things I want you to imagine. First, imagine all this talk that we're talking about where we're kind of like a shoe-in because it's 9 top spaces going in on the East. And imagine we don't make it. That would suck ass. And then imagine a world where our summer blockbuster signing is Pozuelo, like you said. That would be catastrophic, no?
There's absolutely no... You know, listen, how you like
the commentators...
Chris, you have to... look, for those of you that don't know Chris well, Chris is the type of stubborn person that will dig his heels in. Even though he is 100% wrong, he doesn't care. He will defend his stance no matter what. And that's what Chris Henderson's going to do. There's absolutely no way Chris Henderson signs Pozuelo. And even though I was joking about it, if that was even a possibility, I'm 100% sure he wouldn't sign him just because he would look like an idiot for letting him go.
Listen, I wouldn't doubt it. The commentators were talking about how Pozuelo is over in Turkey and that he's been having talks about returning to the MLS, most specifically Inter Miami. And then they followed one of the commentators
today.
And yeah, in today's game they mentioned it. And guys, if you heard it in the game, please mention it because I did hear it. Even my son asked about it. But the worst part is that same sentence was followed by a Messi sentence, which, like we talked about in the beginning, unfortunately, every time Pozuelo's name is mentioned in a Miami-wise, Messi is always going to be creeping around there because of all the modifications they had to do to try to hold off for Messi. Like, what are we doing?
Not bringing up transfer rumors. Did you hear that supposedly there are Bundesliga teams going to come scout Benji Kramashi this week?
Look at that.
What is this?
I mean, we're about to lose this kid to Germany.
What? But why? Like, he's looked good, but like it's been like 2 or 3 games. Like, I thought he looked good, but at no point has he stood out to me like, oh man, this guy's gonna leave like right now. Like, they said that, and I was like, what? Like, I mean, good for him, I suppose, but I was really surprised that they said that at all. That didn't make much sense to me.
Well, I mean, I get why they would do that. He's young. He's like an upcoming player. He's been showing some good signs as a soccer player. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some interest, you know. What is this? So like, who's the top team out in Bundesliga? Like, is it FC Bayern?
Look, he's not going to Bayern or Borussia Dortmund or any of the top clubs. He'll end up in like.
You know what the worst part is, Matthew, is that they already talked about it on TV. So that's just gaslighting. Even if it's just like a little tiny speck. Just the fact that they brought it up on TV, they're just gaslighting it. So now everybody's like, ooh, Benjamin Kramashi. Like, ooh, let me check his stats out.
Richard Greenberg, I believe the transfer window, he asked, I believe it opens in July. Probably Frankfurt. Yeah, I can see Frankfurt. Oh man, I saw a message I was gonna reply to. I completely forgot. I lost it. But yeah, that's all it really is. I think we win this weekend. Oh, I found it. Here it is. Are you ready? Yeah. Apparently, everybody in the chat is saying Robbie Glassleg is coming back on Saturday.
Yes,
that is Chris's boy. Do you think that if he's fit and healthy, that we're gonna see him on Saturday?
Can't believe this kid,
and Steve Munoz with the comment, and I quote: Robbie Glassleg's coming back for 7 minutes before he joins Gregory and Mota for the rest of the season. last leg. I mean, I unfortunately, and I feel bad for him, right? Because this is his livelihood. So it's messed up to laugh about it, but I mean, it's what it is.
Oh my God.
Can't stay healthy, unfortunately.
I mean, what's up with this? This kid is not gonna have he's not gonna be on a one team in his future, right? Like after this, if he gets injured again, it's a wrap for him. No,
Yeah. No,
like he's. I don't even think he's gonna make the fusion team.
I mean, I guess we could go ahead and start wrapping it up here. Anything else, Chris, for the people? Oh, what do you think about us playing Nashville again in 6 days?
Well, I think that it's going to be awesome because now we kind of know what to expect from Nashville.
Yeah. You want to know what to expect? I'll pull it up again. This is what you can expect. That's the heat map from today's game. You can expect a lot of that next week. That's just what it is.
It's going to be big problems. Hopefully, if we don't fix our problems, it's going to be huge problems, and it's not just the loss; it's the butthole.
Yeah. We're gonna just be taking all their pressure. That's for sure.
Oh, look at this, Lucho Lau saying that we're playing at home, though, Danny. You know the home vibes.
You going to the game next week?
I might.
Well, we're both gonna be there on Saturday, so
yes, for sure we will be there. Yes.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna be there on Saturday. I mean, it's my favorite game of the year when Orlando comes to town. Usually they have a good showing. Unfortunately, last week they rescheduled the game, and then they ended up moving it to a weekday. So Orlando didn't have a large contingency here at the game. And I know everybody's like, yeah, but who cares? F them. I think it makes the game a little funner when you have them in the crowd. So I'm all for them showing up. I'm kind of excited, and I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, the last one ended up beautifully. The way it started off with that campana, basically half field goal, and hopefully we get something like that again this week. Anything else for the people, Chris?
Expect a bomb from Ulloa and some skilled moves from Robinson, baby.
If we lose on Saturday to Orlando, how hot does Phil Neville's seat get? Because I mean, he just won 5 in a row.
Yeah,
if he loses to Nashville,
it's going to be kind of hot. It's going to be kind of hot.
I think that if he starts Ulloa and they lose, I think it's going to be a bad look for him. But we'll see.
It's going to be very bad.
We'll be talking about that on Monday. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us in the chat. We really do appreciate you guys taking the time to join us this late at night after the game. And let's see what happens. I mean, they better win, man. I'm really hoping for a win. We play well at home, and I just can't imagine us losing to Orlando. So F them. All right. Thank you guys, and we will catch you guys on Monday.